Hello, future engineers, subscribers, viewers, and students. Here is another video in Algebra 7, particularly solve sample problems in Algebra 7 in the playlist in Algebra. So, problem 1 about uniform motion problems. An airplane could travel a distance of 1,000 miles with the wind. In the same time, it could travel a distance of 800 miles against the wind. If the wind velocity is 40 miles per hour, what is the speed of the plane? Remember the concept? Time is equal to distance over effective speed. So it is mentioned in this problem that the time in flying for the airplane in flying with the wind is equal to time for the plane to fly against the wind, but the distance is different. So with the wind, the distance is 1000. Effective speed is v plus uh, wind velocity, which is 40 miles per hour. So remember that time is distance over effective speed or effective rate. Then time against distance is 800, effective speed or rate is v minus 40. With your calculator solving for v is 360 miles per hour. Problem 2, a train 250 meters long and moving at 25 kilometers per hour is to cross a railway bridge 1 kilometer long. How long will it take? So how long in minutes? So the required time is in minutes. Will it take it to pass the bridge completely? So we have here a train 250 meters long. Of course, it passes completely the bridge when its front at the start is even with the initial end or one end of the bridge, and time ends when the rear of the train is even with the other end of the bridge. So the wind the speed of the train is 25 kilometers or 25,000 meters in per hour. 1 hour is 60 minutes, so that's 1 to 50 over 3 meters per minute. So the distance for the train to travel should be 1,250 in order to pass completely the 1 kilometer length bridge. So distance equals speed times time. So 1 to 50 equals 1 to 50 over 3 times time. Cancel 1 to 50, so time is 3 minutes. Problem 3, a man leaving his house at 7 a.m. and traveling at an average speed of 60 kilometers per hour arrives at his office 10 minutes before the expected time. Had he left the house at 7:25 a.m. and traveled at an average speed of 75 kilometers per hour, he should have arrived 5 minutes late than the expected time. How far is his office from his house? Determine also the expected time that he should be at the office. So this is the house of the man and this is the office. The distance is, let us say, D, capital D. So this is the idea. The man departs at the what we call departure time, then plus the travel time, then he would arrive at the office. We call that time of arrival, capital D. So for the first situation, the man leaves his house at 7 a.m., 7 hours, plus travel time is distance over speed, average speed. So distance over 60, so this is consistent. Distance in kilometers, speed in 60 kilometers per hour, so this is in hour. Then arrives at his office 10 minutes before the expected time. So the time of arrival is expected time of arrival minus 10 over 60 of an hour. So it should be consistent. So simplifying, t minus d over 60 equals 7 plus 1 6 is 43 over 6. Call that equation 1. Then in the second situation, had he left the house at 7:25, departure time 7 and 25 minutes, 7 plus 25 over 60 of an hour, and traveled at an average speed of 75 kilometers per hour. So travel time is distance over 75. He should have arrived 5 minutes late than the expected time. So time of arrival would be t plus 5 over 60. Should exceed the expected time of arrival. A man will be late. So 5 minutes over 60 to convert it to hour. Simplifying, t minus d over 75 equals 7 plus 25 over 60 minus 5 over 60. That's 7 and 1/3, or 22 over 3, equation 2. Solving these two equations simultaneously with your calculator, we get the expected time of arrival at the office should be 8 a.m. and the distance between the man's house and the office is 50 kilometers. Problem 4. A collection of 36 coins consists of nickels, dimes, and quarters. There are 3 fewer quarters than nickels and 6 more dimes than quarters. How many dimes are there? So for this statement, there are 3 fewer quarters than nickels. So meaning to say, the number of quarters is 3 less than that of the number of nickels. So this is the algebraic translation. By the way, n plus nickels plus dimes plus quarters equals 36. So there are 3 fewer quarters than nickels, so the number of quarters is 3 less than the number of nickels. And 6 more dimes than quarters, so the number of dimes is 6 more than that of quarters. So dimes equals 6 more than that of quarters. So from this equation, nickels should be quarters plus 3, and it is equal to, since quarters from this equation is d minus 6, so we replace quarter by dime minus 6 so that everything can be expressed in terms of the number of dimes, because it is the number of dimes that is required in this problem. So replacing q by d minus 6 from this equation, then plus 3, nickels would be dimes minus 3. Substitute into this equation, nickels dimes minus 3 plus dimes plus quarters. Quarters from this equation is dime minus 6, then equals 36. Simplifying, 36 plus 3 plus 6 is 45. 45 divided by 3, because this is 3D, so number of dimes is 15. So let's have this miscellaneous problem in algebra. Problem 5. A man sold half an egg more than half his eggs. He then sold half an egg more than half his remaining eggs. He did the same for the third time and had 7 eggs left. How many eggs did he have at first? So for the first selling, eggs left would be, it is clearly stated here, if we denote x as the original number of eggs, the man sold half an egg more than half his eggs. So meaning to say, the number of eggs sold is 1/2 of an egg more than half the original number of eggs. So this is 1/2 more than half the original number of eggs. Simplifying that, the number of eggs left would be, after the first selling, is x over 2, then minus 1/2. Then for the second selling, eggs left would be, this is the remaining number of eggs from the first selling. Then the man sold half an egg. This is half an egg more than half his remaining eggs. So 1/2 of the number of eggs left after the first selling. Then simplifying, 1x over 2 minus x over 4 is x over 4. Then negative 1/2 plus 1/4. Negative 1/2 plus 1/4. is negative 1/4, then minus 1/2, negative 3/4. So the number of eggs left after the second selling would be 1/4 of x minus 3. Then the process is then repeated. After the third selling, eggs left is, so we have 1/4 of x minus 3 left in after the second selling. Then half an egg, more than half this remaining eggs is sold. So half an egg, more than half the remaining eggs, so 1/2 of 1/4 of x minus 3. Then the number of eggs left is 7 from that case. So simplifying this is x over 4 minus 1/8 of x, so x over 8. Then we have negative 3/4 plus 3/8. Then minus 1/2 is negative 7 over 8 equals 7. Multiply everything by 8. So we have x equals 56 plus 7 is 63. So the man had 63 eggs at the start. Problem 6. Ted rode his bicycle 30 miles with a tailwind of 8 miles per hour, but in the same time rode only 6 miles of the return trip. With the same wind now against him, how fast would he have traveled with no wind? So it is clearly stated here that time riding with a bicycle with the wind is equal to time in returning back, but against the wind this time. So with the wind, the distance is 30 miles and the effective speed is v plus 8, so 30 over v plus 8, where 8 is the speed of the tailwind. Then time in returning back 6 miles only with the same time covered. Effective rate is v minus 8. So using your calculator, solving for v is 12 miles per hour. Problem 7. This problem came out in November CE Board, November 2017. So a certain physicist who is always in a hurry walks up an ongoing escalator at the rate of 1 step per second. 20 steps bring him to the top. Next day, he goes up at 2 steps per second, reaching the top in 32 steps. How many steps are there in the escalator? So take note that the escalator also moves. We do not know the speed of the escalator, but the effective speed of the physicist with the escalator is v sub s plus 1. Then times 20 seconds, because the time is 20 seconds. It's stated here that because the physicist walks up the escalator at the rate of 1 step per second, and after 20 steps he or she is now at the top. So that means 1 step per second times 20 times time equals 20 steps. So that means the time is 20 seconds. So effective speed times time is the equal to number of steps. This is steps per second times 20 seconds. So that's the number of steps. In the next day, he goes up at the rate of 2 steps per second, reaching the top in 32 steps. So meaning to say, the time that the physicist reaches the top is 16 seconds. 32 divided by 2 steps per second is 16 seconds. So effective speed v sub s plus 2 times 16 equals n. Then Since these two are equal, equating v sub s plus 1 times 20 equals quantity v sub s plus 2 times 16. So 20 v sub s minus 16 v sub s is 4 v sub s, and 2 times 16, 32, minus 20 is 12. Solving for v sub s, we have v sub s 3 steps per second. Substitute into this equation to solve for n, the number of steps of the escalator. So 3 plus 1 times 20 equals n, so n is 80 steps. Problem 8. Two trains started at the same time from cities A and B respectively. The first going from A to B and the second from B to A. They traveled at uniform but different rates. The first train reaches B 4 hours after they passed each other. The second reached A 2 hours and 15 minutes after they passed. Find the time that each train required to make the trip. So the train that comes from city A is slower because after the two meet here, this train from A reach B in 4 hours, while the train from B is the faster one because after their meeting point, that train reaches A in just 2 hours and 15 minutes. So this would be the configuration. Assuming the distance between cities A and B as D, so we have this first equation. So V sub S, so this is the time to reach here is T, then time to reach B from this meeting point is 4 hours. So the total time traveled by the slower train from A is T plus 4, so V sub S times T plus 4 equals D. Then for the faster train at B, the travel time is T plus 2 hours and 15 minutes or 2.25 hours. So speed of the faster train times quantity travel time T plus 2.25 equals D. Also, V sub S times T equals V sub F times T. That's also the other equation. So equating these two, this equation here, this equation here, V sub S times time V sub st plus 4 V sub s equals D, and D is V sub ft plus V sub st. Cancel V sub st. From here, we can solve T in terms of V sub s and V sub f. So it is 4 V sub s over V sub f. Then equating this equation with this equation here, so V sub f times T plus 2.25 V sub f equals V sub f times T plus V sub s times T. Cancel out VFT. Then we have 2.25 VF equals V sub s times T, and T from this equation is 4 V sub s over V sub f. So expressing V sub s in terms of V sub f, it is square root of 2.25 over 4, and that is 3/4 of V sub f. So V sub s is 3/4 of V sub f. Substitute into this equation. Time equals meeting the time for the two trains to meet here is 4 V sub s 0.75 of V sub f divided by V sub f, cancel V sub f. So T is 3 hours. The two trains meet 3 hours after they leave respectively cities A and B. Then that means that for the slower train, the time it reaches this meeting point is 3 hours plus 4 more hours. So the time required by the slower train to reach city B is 7 hours, while the time required for the train from B to reach CTA is T 3 hours plus 2.25 hours, and that is 5.25 hours. Problem 9. A boatman rows to a place 48 kilometers distant and back in 14 hours. He finds he can row 4 kilometers with the stream in the same time as 3 kilometers against the stream. Find the rate of the stream. We'll call the rate of the stream as C. Then the total time is 14 hours, and that is 48 kilometers distance divided by effective speed in moving or rowing with the stream, V plus C, then plus going back 48 kilometers, effective speed in going back, rowing back is V minus C, because the it is now against the stream, then equals 14. Uh, Cancel out 2. So this is 24, 24. This is 7. Multiply everything by the LCD, which is V sub V plus C times V minus C. So we have 24 times V minus C plus 24 times quantity V plus C equals 7 times quantity V plus C V minus C. Then 24V plus 24V is 48V. Then negative 24C plus 24C, so out, equals 7 times quantity V square minus C square. Then from the statement that the man can row 4 kilometers with the stream, so 4 kilometers distance over effective speed V plus C is equivalent to the time in rowing back 3 kilometers distance over effective speed in rowing back V minus C. So cross multiply 4V minus 4C equals 3V plus 3C. So simplifying V equals 7C. Substitute into this equation here. So 48 times 7C equals 7 times quantity 7C square, quantity square minus C square. So cancel 7, we have 48C equals 49C square minus C square is 48C square. So cancel out C again, and we have cancel 48. So 48C, cancel 48C, leaving C on the right side, 1 in the left side. So C is 1 kilometer per hour. Problem 10. A policeman is pursuing a snatcher who is ahead by 72 of his own leaps. The snatcher takes 6 leaps while the cop takes 5 leaps, but 4 leaps of the snatcher are as long as 3 leaps of the cop. How many leaps will the cop take before he catches the snatcher? This is similar to the board exam somewhere in November 2018. So this is the situation. This is the policeman. This is the snatcher who is ahead by 72 snatcher slips as stated here. Then in order to catch the snatcher, this should be the meeting point where the policeman catches the snatcher. And the time they will meet here is, we'll call that T. So the speed of the policeman is 5 policeman leaps per second, while the speed of the snatcher is 6 snatcher leaps per second. So we should set up equation where we have consistent distance, and we will express that in terms of the snatcher's leaps. So this is the distance, 5 policeman leaps per second times time. They meet here at the same time. Then for the snatcher, then we have 6 snatcher slips per second times time, because the snatcher is ahead by 72 snatcher slips, so plus 72 snatcher slips. So this is the relation stated here. 4 leaps of the snatcher are as long as 3 leaps of the cap. So 4 snatcher slips equals 3 policeman slips. So that means the snatcher slips is 0.75 of the policeman's lips. So substitute, let us express everything in terms of the policeman's lips. So 5 policeman's lips per second times time equals 6 snatcher slips. Snatcher slips is 0.75 of policeman's lips. So this is now in policeman lips times time. And plus 72, we replace snatcher snatcher's lips by 0.75 of policeman lips. Solving for t is 108 seconds from this equation. Then the distance is 5 policeman slips per second times time, which is 108 seconds. So the distance where the policeman and the snatcher, or the distance that the policeman must take in order to catch the snatcher, is 540 policeman's lips. 11. Two trains, one 350 feet long and the other 450 feet long on parallel tracks, can pass each other completely in 8 seconds when moving in opposite directions. When moving in the same direction, the faster train completely passes the slower one in 16 seconds. Find the speed of the faster train. We will assume that the shorter train is the one that moves faster. So this is the shorter train. They first move in opposite directions, and time starts when the front of the shorter train, or shorter and faster train, is even with the front of the slower and longer train. So after a time t, which is 8 seconds, the position of the shorter train would now be this, and this is the front of the slower train after 8 seconds. So that's why this distance is speed v sub s times 8. This distance is speed v sub f times 8. So from the figure, 8 vf, or vf 8 added with v sub s 8 would be equal to this length for 50 feet plus that length to 50 feet. So 800 feet, equation 1. When they move in the same directions, so time starts when the front of the faster train is even with the rear of the slower train. They move in the same directions there. So this should be the position of the shorter train, the faster train. Its end should be even with the front of the slower train, so that we can say that this faster train has completely passed the slower train. So this position to that position is speed of the faster train times time 16 seconds, and from this position of from this tip of the slower train to that tip, that's v sub s times 16. So if we subtract v sub s times 16 from v sub f times 16, so this total length here minus this distance, then we have 450 plus 350 again, which is 800. So solving these two equations simultaneously, we get the speed of the faster train 75 feet per second. Problem 12. A boy has coins in his pocket consisting of nickels, dimes, and pennies. There are 2 more nickels than dimes and 3 times as many pennies as dimes. If the boy has a total of 64 cents, how many pennies does he have? So let's translate this English to algebra. There are 2 more nickels than dimes. So meaning say the number of nickels is 2 more than the number of dimes. So that's why you have nickels here, 2 more than the number of dimes. Then there and 3 times as many pennies as dimes. So the number of pennies 3 times as 3 times that of the number of dimes is the number of pennies. So that's the interpretation. So number of pennies is 3 times that of the number of dimes, 3D. So that means the dimes, number of dimes is 1/3 of the number of pennies. Then the amount, 1 centavo times the number of pennies plus 5, this is nickels, 5 cents nickels times the number of nickels. The number of nickels is D plus 2, where D is P over 3 and plus 2. Then plus, this is the number of dimes, 10 cents. The amount, 10 cents. Then number of dimes, P over 3 in terms of number of pennies equals 64 cents. 64 minus 5 times 2, 54, divided by 1 plus 5/3 plus 10/3, we get the number of pennies of the boy equal to 9. So that's the secret of Boy Bastos. So you need to practice, especially problems on uniform motion, because these problems are challenging, indeed challenging. Without the solution, you might not be able to solve it. But anyway, by translating English to algebra, you would be able to solve worded problems. A battleship started on a 500-mile voyage, but was brought to full stop an hour after starting for military reasons, delaying it for a full hour, after which it was ordered to proceed at a reduced velocity equivalent to 75% of its former rate. The ship arrived at its destination 3 hours and 3/4, so that's 3.75 hours after scheduled time. If it was desired for the ship to arrive 1 hour and a quarter sooner, how far from the destination should the ship have been ordered stop? So this is the situation. This is the battleship. It starts here. The total distance from this position to the destination is 500 miles. And this is the situation. Initially, its speed is the normal speed v. Then after 1 hour, it was ordered to stop. So that means this distance is normal speed of the battleship times 1 hour. And take note that at this position, it was delayed for 1 hour. So the total time here before it proceeds with 75% of its former speed or normal speed is 2 hours. The expected time of arrival at the destination is t, and we're looking for this distance x. Now let's satisfy the statements here. So v times 1 plus 0.75 times v. So take note that this is the original equation. Normal speed times expected time, travel time to reach here is equal to 500 miles. Then for this situation here, v times 1, that distance there, plus this distance, which is 0.75 of v times quantity. Take note that arriving the destination, the travel time for this part is time of arrival, which is the expected time the battleship should be here, then which is t, then it exceeds by 3 hours and 3 quarters plus 3.75 minus 2 because the battleship stayed here for 1 hour travel time, then another 1 hour uh, delay. That's why we have to subtract 2. Then equals 500 miles. Simplifying V plus 0.75 VT, then 3.75 minus 2 times 0.75 V is 21 over 16 V equals 500. Replacing VT here by 500, so and combining V and 21 over 16 V, which is now 37 over 16 V, then plus 0.75 of 500 equals 500. We can now solve for the normal speed of the battleship, which is 2000 over 37 miles per hour. Then in this equation here, 2000 over 37 times equals 500. Then the battleship is expected to arrive at the destination at a travel time of 9.25 hours. Then solving for x, for this situation here, if it was desired for the ship to arrive 1 hour and a quarter sooner, so meaning to say the travel time should be 9.25, then minus 2 hours, same delay, then minus 1.25. That's the expression for x. So 0.75 times normal speed of the battleship, then times quantity t, which is 9.25 minus 1.25. So without this delay here, the battleship should be expected to reach here in t minus 1.25. But because the battleship was delayed by 2 hours, so all in all, we have 1 hour movement, then another 1 hour stay here. That's why we have to subtract 2. So solving for x is 243.24 miles. Problem 14, Alan can cover a circular track in 50 seconds while Brando can cover the same track in 40 seconds. So in this situation, Brando is the faster runner than Alan. Going the same directions, find the time they will be together if Brando gives Alan a head start of 5 seconds. So this is Brando, and Brando gives Alan a head start of 5 seconds. So since the speed of Brando is c over 40, speed of Alan is c over 50. So that means when they meet somewhere here, the Brando's distance should be speed of Brando c over 40 times t. Then that should be equal to the travel time of Alan should be his speed. We have 5 seconds plus t. So the travel time of Alan is that's t plus 5 seconds. So speed of Alan c over 450 times travel time t plus 5. We cancel out c, solve for t is 20 seconds. In 13.2, Alan gives Brando a head start of 5 seconds. So this is the situation. They move in same direction, in that direction there. So this is Alan, that is Brando. But take note, Brando moves faster than Alan. So let's revise the problem. It is like Brando gives Alan a head start so that it's the same as in the first. So if this Brando, to reach this destination where Alan is staying at the start, then it will only take 35 seconds for Brando to reach that destination. So it's like uh, Alan has a head start of 35 seconds of Brando's time. So meaning this distance will be traveled by Brando, or this equivalent distance is equal to speed of Brando times 35 seconds from this position to that position. But assuming this is the meeting point between Alan and Brando, so this is the distance traveled by Brando, not necessarily that part, but rather it may have one revolution or two revolutions first before they reach here. Then Alan's movement would be this one, C over 40 times 35, then plus C over 50 times time. So assuming this is the movement of Alan. So they meet here. That distance traveled by Alan is C over 50 times T, but he is ahead by this distance C over 40 times 35. So we can cancel C, solve for T. T is equal to 175 seconds. And finally, Alan and Brando start at the same time. They start here. So they will be, after they meet again, it means that the difference of their distances is C. So it's like also that Brando, for example, they meet here. This is the this is the distance traveled by Brando. So let us say Brando reaches here. Its speed of Brando times T minus speed of Alan times T, and it is equated to one circuit or one revolution. So the difference of the distance traveled should be C, so that they meet again somewhere along the circular track. So C over 40, speed of Brando times time minus speed of Alan times time. So the difference in distance should be one circuit or one circumference. We can cancel C. We can solve 40. Now 1 divided by quantity 1 over 40 minus 1 over 50, and that is 200 seconds. So problem 15 is about Diophantine equation. A merchant has three items on sale, namely a radio for 50 pesos, a clock for 30 pesos, and a flashlight for 1 peso. At the end of the day, he has sold a total of 100 of three items and has taken exactly 1,000 pesos on the total sales. How many radios did he sell? So first equation, number of radios plus number of clocks plus number of flashlights equals 100. That's for the number of items sold. For the second equation, sales, 50 pesos per radio times number of radios plus 30 pesos per clock times number of clocks plus 1 peso per flashlight times number of flashlights sold equals 1,000. So from equation 1, we must express F in terms of number of radios and C, because it is a must, because F is 1 peso per item, per flashlight. So we should express the remaining unknown in terms of radius and clock, because on the first place we are looking for the number of radius. So that is 50r plus 30c. F is 100 minus r minus c equals 1000. Simplifying, 49r plus 30 minus 30c minus c is 29c. 1000 minus 100 is 900. So solving for r, or expressing r in terms of c, r equals quantity 900 minus 29c over 49. So that's why this should be the working equation. We should try values of c until such time that r is a whole number. So c is also a whole number expected. So beginning with 1, 2, so using your calculator, shift solve, you just, or calculate, you just set up fraction, then 900 minus 29 alpha x divided by 49. Then press calculate. So let us say x is 1 or c is 1. Then if it is a whole number, you stop until such a time that r becomes a whole number. And that happens when c is 4. R is 16 when c is 4. So the answer is r is 16. Problem 16 is about linear programming. A snack bar cooks and sells hamburgers and hot dogs during football games. To stay in business, it must sell at least 10 hamburgers but cannot cook more than 40. It must also sell at least 30 hot dogs but cannot cook more than 70. The snack bar cannot cook more than 90 items total. The profit on a hamburger is 33 cents and on a hot dog it is 21 cents. How many of each item should it sell to make the maximum profit? What is the maximum profit? The objective function is the profit, and the profit is equal to 33 cents per hamburger, times number of burgers to be sold, then plus 21 cents times uh, number of hot dogs to be sold. These are the constraints. To stay in business, it must sell at least 10 burgers but cannot cook more than 40. So 10 less than equal to B less than equal to 40. Then it must also sell at least 30 hot dogs. So 30 less than equal to B less than equal to 70. Then let's plot it on the real number line. The horizontal is burgers, the vertical is hot dogs. So for the burgers, this is the constraint from 10 to 40. For the hot dogs, 30 to 70. So the solution would be somewhere in this rectangular part here. But let's reinforce this condition that B plus D is less than equal to 90. So the graph of B plus D equals 90 is like B over 90 plus D over 90 equals 1. So 90 here, 90 there, and connect with the straight line. So this is now the final figure. The solution would be somewhere in this shaded part. But to maximize profit, it should be farthest from the origin. So these 2 points are farthest from the origin. This point is in particular because it lies on this horizontal line. Intersection between this line and this horizontal line is, we know that the number of hot dogs is 70. Substitute here, if this is 70, B is 90 minus 70, so number of burgers should be 20. Likewise, when the number of burgers is 40, then the hot dogs is 90 minus 40, 50. So this is 40 comma 50. Let us evaluate the profit at these 2 points only. We don't need to evaluate at these other points. Definitely it will not give us maximum value. So first at 20 comma 70, profit is 33 times number of burgers, 33 cents per burger times 20 plus 21 cents per hot dog times 70. We have 2,130 cents. At 40 comma 50 here, 33 times 40 plus 21 times 50 is 2,370 cents. Therefore, this is greater than that profit there. So therefore the conclusion, sell 40 hamburgers, 50 hot dogs with a maximum profit of $223.7. Divide that by 100. Problem 17. Evaluate the determinant of the 4 by 4 matrix by A. Expansion of minors, B. Pivotal element method, then C. Find its inverse by Gauss-Jordan method, and letter D. Inverse by the adjoint method. So let's solve this manually. Although your calculator is capable of evaluating 4 by 4 matrix, my calculator is only capable of evaluating 3 by 3 matrix as well as inverting a 3 by 3 matrix. Your calculator is capable of inverting a 4 by 4 matrix. So I'll present the longhand solution first by expansion of minors for the determinant. So remember that these elements are assigned with alternating signs, plus, minus, so that we don't need to apply the formula. So just have this alternating sign. So the first we have plus of -2. So -2, the minor of -2 would be the determinant of this 3 by 3 matrix. Let's copy that. And by basket method, we copy the first two column elements. So positive in that diagonal product down, then minus in that upward product up. Then minus of -4, so that's +4. Minor of this -4 here will be 353, 321, -245. That 3 by 3 matrix there. Copy the first two column elements, then follow that direction, positive, upward, negative. Then +6, minor of 6 will be 353, 192, and -245. And copy the first two column elements. And finally, -3, minor of 3 would be this 3 by 3 matrix. So we copy the first two column elements also. So the minor of -2, which is by manual method, 1 times 2 times 5, quantity 1 times 2 times 5, or 10, minus 18 plus 24, then minus quantity, -8, plus 4, then plus 5 times 3 times 9, in that direction, close. That would be -115, the minor of -2. Then plus minus -4, minor of -4, or plus 4, minor of -4 originally, is using the same value calculations, although for calculators that are capable of evaluating determinant of 3 by 3 matrix, you can also do that, but I solved this in a long process and check the value. So -19 next, and plus 6 times the minor of 6 would be 132, and finally -3 times minor of 3 is -35. So combining, the determinant is 1051. The determinant of A by the pivotal element method. So we see two ones here, but I select this as the pivot element because it is in the main diagonal. The sign of the determinant will be unchanged, so it's still positive. Then we reduce this 4 by 4 matrix into 3 by 3, then after that apply basket method to determine the determinant. So first, -2 minus 3 times -4, so that's -2 plus 12, so that's why it's 10. 5 minus 3 times 9, 5 minus 27 is negative 22. 3 minus 3 times 2, 3 minus 6, negative 3. 6 minus 3 times negative 4, 6 plus 12, 18. 2 minus 3 times 9, or 2 minus 27, negative 25. 1 minus 3 times 2, 1 minus 6, negative 5. 3 minus negative 2 times negative 4, or 3 minus 8, that's negative 5. 4 minus negative 2 times 9, that's 4 plus 18, that's why we have 22. Then finally 5 minus negative 2 times 2, 5 plus 4, that's 9. Then copy the first two column elements, then apply basket method. We get 1051 also. Third is the matrix inversion. Let's invert this 4x4 matrix, although your calculator is capable of inverting 4x4 matrix up to that. But if it is a problem in the board exam, it might be the longhand method, but you do not follow that. As long as you can use your calculator, you can use your calculator. So first, let's divide row 1 by negative 2, and it becomes 1, negative 1.5, negative 2.5, negative 1.5, negative 0.5, then the rest 0. So that is our new row 1. And by Gauss-Jordan method, so that's why we have to have this identity matrix 4x4. And the objective is to augment this matrix in such a way that the left side becomes an identity matrix, the right side, after elementary operation, row operations, will be automatic the inverse of matrix A. So after we divide by 2, this is now the result. Let's enclose this with a blue box as our guide so that we won't be confused. And in order that this will be 0, because this should be 0 here, we have to apply row 2 previous, which is this, then plus 4 times row 1 to obtain these values. So for instance, negative 4 plus 4 times 1 is 0. Then this one, row 2 previous, 1 plus 4 times negative 1.5, 1 plus negative 6, so negative 5, and so on and so forth. You just follow this equation. Then row 3 previous minus 6 row 1, you will get these values. Then row 4 previous, which is this, minus 3 times row 1 to get these values. Next, we divide previous row 2 by negative 5 so that this becomes 1, just like this. So after we divide negative 5 previous row 2, these are now the new elements in row 2. Then this is called row 2. Then row 1 previous plus 1.5 of row 2. That's why we enclose row 2 with this, so that you will be confused. This will now be the new elements of row 1. If you want to practice, then you should evaluate this, confirm if these are the values. Then row 3 previous, these elements here, minus 12 times, so that's why minus 12 times row 2, so that becomes 0. So these are the new elements in row 3. Then row 4 previous, minus 2.5 of row 2, so 2.5 minus 2.5 of 1, that's why we have 0 here. Then the rest, these are the elements. Next, this row 3 here, we divide everything by 14.6 so that this becomes 1. So row 3 previous divide by 14.6. These are the new elements of row 3, so I call that row 3. The new elements of row 1 would be this. Apply this equation, row 1 previous, this row 1 here, and plus 2.2 of row 3, 2.2 of row 3. So example, negative 2.2 plus 2.2 times 1 is 0. And these are the new elements of row 1. Row 2 previous, these elements here, minus 0.2 of row 3, minus 0.2 of row 3, 0.2 minus 0.2 of 1, so that's why 0 here. The rest, these are the elements. Then row 4 previous, these elements here, minus 11 times row 3. So that's the formula. And get these new elements of row 4. Row 4 previous plus 11 times row 3. And finally, we divide everything by, or we divide everything by 1051 over 146, the previous row 4. This is now the new row 4. Then row 1 previous, this row 1 here, plus 35 over 146 of row 4. You'll get all these elements here, the new elements. Row 2 previous, this row 2 here, minus 58 over 73 of row 4. That's why we get these elements of row 2. Then row 3 previous, minus 2 over 73 of row 4. 2 over 73 minus 2 over 73 times 1. That's why we have 0 here. And these are the new elements. So since this is now an identity matrix, this is the inverse of matrix A. So let's finalize. Inverse of matrix A is 1 over 51, because 1051, the determinant, is common to all these terms here. And we have these values, negative 150, 19, 132, 35, 231, negative 93, 73, negative 116, negative 137, 178, 75, negative 4, 271, negative 191, negative 110, 146. Or use your calculator. Then by the adjoint method, so first let's evaluate the cofactor of each element. So cofactor of negative 2 is the minor of negative 2. So that is the determinant of this 3 by 3 matrix. It's negative 115. Then the sign assigned here is negative. So the cofactor of 3 is the negative of whatever is the determinant of elements, negative 4, 9, 2, 3 by 3, 6, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth, and verify that these are the cofactors with corresponding signs. Of course, remember that the cofactor of the diagonal elements, the cofactor of the diagonal elements, the cofactors are correspondingly the minors. So we get this, and by definition, these are the cofactors of A. By definition, the inverse is cofactor of A transpose adjoint of A divided by determinant of A. So this is the determinant of A. When we transpose this 4 by 4 matrix, this row matrix becomes column matrix. Row 2, that's row 2. Row 3, column 3, row 4, column 4. So that's it. That's the inverse of matrix A. Problem 18, given matrix A and its inverse D, find the value of X, Y, and Z. So take note that these are just 3 by 3. You can invert this matrix A here and you will get the values so that this row 1 column 1 element, which is X over 6, should be equated to the element of the inverse of A. So that's the easiest way. You can use your calculator. But in this problem, I'll just present the solution in a long way. Assuming the calculators are not allowed, it may be not allowed, or it may be a technique that should be used, but you have to use your calculator. You can use your calculator for checking. So I'll use this definition that the product of the original matrix and its inverse is an identity matrix. So this is it, and this is the inverse of A. This is A. So to solve for X, I perform the product of row 1 and column 1 and equate it with 1 row 1 column 1 element here. So 2 times X over 6 is X over 3 plus 1 times 4 thirds is 4 thirds plus 3 times 2 thirds. 3 times 2 thirds is 2 and equals 1. Solving for X, X is 1 minus 2 minus 4 thirds, and after that the answer should be multiplied by 3. Solving for X, X is negative 7. To solve for Y, we have to obtain the product of row 1 and column 3 and equate it to this element, row 1, column 3, 0. So 2 times Y over 6 is Y over 3 plus 1 times negative 2 thirds, negative 2 thirds plus 3 times negative 2 thirds plus 3 times negative 1 third other, negative 1 equals 0. So solving for Y, Y is 5. Then for Z, we have row 1 and column 2 elements. This is row 1, column 2, so 0, we equate it to 0. So 2 times 4 thirds is 8 thirds, plus 1 times negative 5 thirds, negative 5 thirds, plus 3 times 7 over 6, 3 times Z over 6, that's Z over 2, equals 0. Solving for Z, the only unknown here, this is 1. To the right, negative 1 times 2, Z is negative 2. So that's it for problem 18. Problem 19, evaluate the determinant of the 5 by 5 matrix by pivotal element method and by reducing the matrix to 2 by 2. So the calculator technique here is you do not do it even if this is the instruction. I'll just present the solution in this manner because this is the instruction, but if it is a problem in the board exam, you can reduce this to 4 by 4, and 4 by 4 matrix you can use your calculator. Okay, so in this case, first I'll find pivot element, which is 1. We cannot find 1, so I factor out negative 1 here. So negative 1, but remember there's a sign, alternating sign, plus, minus. So this is minus supposedly after we factor out negative 1, but because the sign assigned to this is negative also, negative of negative 1 is positive 1. But it was negative 1 that is factored out. So that's why this is 1, negative 4, negative 5, negative 8, negative 2. So let's make this the pivot element, reduce the 5 by 5 matrix into 4 by 4 matrix. So I'll just explain this, the new elements here and this element here, then check the rest, so to save time. So first, negative 5 minus 3 times negative 4, so negative 5 plus 12 is 7. Then 6 minus quantity 3 times negative 5, that's 6 plus 15, so positive 21. 7 minus quantity 3 times negative 8, so that's 7 plus 24, so that's why you have positive 31. Then negative 4 minus quantity 3 times negative 2, negative 4 plus 6, that's positive 2. And lastly, you just check the other elements. So this is the last element that I'm going to evaluate and show. 4 minus negative 7 times negative 4, that's 4 minus 28, so negative 24. So you have to show that these are the other elements reduced from 5 by 5 to 4 by 4. So I'll proceed until there will be 2 by 2 matrix left. Next is I'll make this one. So I factor out 2. So positive 1, I factor out 2. But the assigned sign here is plus, minus, plus, minus. It's minus. So although I factor out 2, we have to precede it with the negative sign because the determinant will have a negative sign for that. The assigned sign here is negative. So after we factor out 2, 7 over 2, 3.5, 21 over 2, 10.5, 31 over 2, 15.5, then 2 over 2 is 1. So take note that of the explanation, we factor out 2, but the sign of the determinant, because the sign assigned to this is negative, so that's why we have negative 2. But it was 2 that is factored out. This is now the pivot element. I'll just evaluate these 3. You know already how to evaluate, reduce this 4 by 4 into 3 by 3. So negative 24 minus negative 5 times 3.5, so it's negative 24 plus 5 times 3.5, that's why you have here negative 6.5. Negative 29 minus quantity negative 5 times 10.5, it's like negative 29 plus 5 times 10.5, so 23.5. Negative 53 minus quantity negative 5 times 15.5, that's negative 53 plus 5 times 15.5, so 24.5. So verify these remaining elements. Next, this is still 3 by 3, although you can use your calculator in evaluating the determinant. This 3 by 3, then multiply by negative 2. So I factor out negative 12 to make this 1, but plus minus plus, it is positive. So negative 2 times negative 12 is positive 24. The sign assigned there is positive, so it's like factoring out negative 12 and nothing happens. So negative 12 over negative 12 is 1. Negative 34 over negative 12 is 17 over 6. Negative 51 over negative 12 is 4.25. So this is the pivot element. Let's reduce it to 2 by 2. I'll just explain how to obtain the new elements here. So 23.5 minus quantity 17 over 6 times negative 6.5, that's 23.5 plus 17 over 6 times 6.5, and that's 503 over 12. 24.5 minus quantity 4.25 times negative 6.5, that's 52.125. Then verify these remaining 2 elements. Now it is 2 by 2. So the determinant is 24 times quantity 503 over 12 times negative 25.875. That's negative 34,707 over 32. Then minus this direction, minus this is negative. So minus of negative is positive. 24,047 over 32. Combining, then times 24, you'll get negative 7,995. So this is the last problem. Two ferry boats ply back and forth from Samal and Davao ports. Beginning from opposite ports and moving towards opposite ports, they meet at 900 meters from Davao port. Reaching the opposite ports, they turn back without staying and without loss of time and meet again 600 meters from the Samal port. If the ferry boats travel at different but constant speeds, how far apart are the ports? So this is the situation. This is the ferry boat from Davao, and the speed, I'll call it V sub D. The ferry boat from Samal, I'll call the speed as V sub S. This is the first meeting point, and assuming they arrive at this first meeting point at time t1. So this distance is 900 as stated in the above statement. Therefore, if we denote the distance between Davao port and Samal port by x, then this distance is x minus 900. For the second meeting, the time they meet after this first meeting here is t2. They have the same time, t2. And it is mentioned that the second meeting point is 600 meters from Samal port. So if this is 600 meters, then this is x minus 600. So therefore, this distance is v sub d times t1, and this distance is v sub s times t1, and adding v sub d times t1 plus v sub s times t1 equals x. Call that equation 1. Also, v sub d times t1 equals v sub d, this is the distance traveled after the first meeting by the ferry boat from Davao. So this is the total distance traveled, and this distance is x minus 900 plus 600. So speed of the ferry boat from Davao times t2 equals this distance, total distance. This is x minus 900 plus 600. Simplifying that, v sub d t2 equals x minus 300. Call that equation 2. While from this point, this is the distance traveled by the ferry boat from Samal up to here. So this is 900, then plus x minus 600, and that is v sub s times t2. So v sub s times t2 equals 900 plus x minus 600. Simplifying, v sub s t2 equals x plus 300. Call that equation 3. Also, v sub d times t1 equals 900, equation 4, and v sub s times t1 equals x minus 900. Obtaining the ratio 4 divided by 5, so we can cancel t1. V sub d over v sub s equals 900 over x minus 900. Similarly, if we divide equations 2 and 3, equation 2 divided by equation 3, we can cancel t2. So we have v sub d over v sub s equals x minus 300 over x plus 300. Equating, so 900 over x minus 900 equals x minus 300 over x plus 300. Using your calculator, solving for x is 2,100 meters. You may cross multiply, that's a quadratic equation. Use your calculator again, quadratic formula, you'll get 2,100 meters as the distance between the ports of Davao and Samal. So that's it for this video.